What's happening, guys? Lots of exciting stuff going on at the minute in Raid, and it's really good. Like I'm loving some of the theory crafting I'm seeing and some of the releases and leaks and all that kind of stuff. So of course we're talking about the new Clanboss, and we've had a couple of releases so far on the video. We have had Observation Day 1. Anomalous creature continues to grow, and efforts to understand it, its birth are commencing. 2 beast drivers have already been slain, and I'll have that up for you on the screen here. And then day 2, I believe it's either day 2 or day 72. So we have facing it alone is pointless. Surround it, question mark. Divert its attention. Give it too many targets. So is that maybe talking about some sort of cooperative PvE thing where you're going to have to fight it concurrently rather than consecutively or just whenever, asynchronously? Because that could be really cool. Timing would be a little bit of a... yeah... Not great, but I have my top 10 picks of champions for you here today. So let's see what I'm looking at. So number 10. These are in no particular order, but we'll start at number 10. I do have a number 1. And I actually have some extras, some honourable mentions then afterwards as well. So my first pick is going to be Toshiro. No, it's not. My first pick is going to be Riho Bonespear. And the great thing about Riho is she is a massive healer. She has 35% of their max HP and a further 5% for each debuff removed. So this boss is heavy on the debuffs, heavy on transferring debuffs, has his own debuffs, has necrosis stacks, poisons, and transfers everything from him to you and all of that. As well as that, he has a mechanic where he kills people and denies revives as well. So lots going on there, and Riho is able to deal with a lot of this with the passive healing, cleansing, blocking debuffs. Fantastic for this. A1 continuous heals as well. Debuffs on the A2 on a single target, and from what we can see so far, it's a single target boss, albeit with multiple forms. So this being able to get onto the boss is fantastic if used correctly, because he can transfer them back onto you by the looks of it. Now, this is the reason why I think she's a great pick. When receiving any debuffs, instantly transfers them from this champion back to the attacker. So any incoming debuffs, they're going to go back onto the boss. So I think that, coupled with the cleanse and the debuffs, I think she's going to be fantastic for the boss as well. Now, on to our next pick. We have Roshcard, the Tower. Now, Roshcard is going to be really good. He could be excellent for this. He could be a kind of a... well, he is a top pick, according to me. So, yeah, what am I saying? Where is he? Roshcard the Tower is... I always think Roshcard is a Banner Lord, and he's actually in the Sacred Order. It's the armor, I think. It's very ambiguously Sacred Order. Maybe he was a Banner Lord and he joined the Sacred Order. Now, he's known for his block damage and his Clanboss teams. This is going to be another Clanboss team. So block damage to keep your team alive. Decent aura, 33%. Removes buffs from the boss on his A1. But the one that we want to see here is an irresistible A2 that gives block active skills and block buffs for 2 turns. Can't be resisted at all. And that's on a 3 turn once it is booked. The massive thing with that as well, you don't even have to have that booked to land it. A lot of irresistible buffs in the game, or debuffs in the game, they still have a chance to fail until you book them up. So they're irresistible, but they only have a 75% chance to land. This is irresistible all the time, so he doesn't even need books to get that. So block active skills, this boss will be susceptible to it. So that will maybe stop him using his A2 and his A3, which transfers debuffs from him, and his A3, which poisons you, poison sensitivity, and does a whole lot of other stuff. Can also maybe stop him changing form, because he's kind of like, he's got to be kind of like a mythical, if you put him in terms of a champion, where he'll be able to change form from one thing to the next. So Roshcard could be absolutely huge and bypass any accuracy requirements for him. Now, we spoke about all the debuffs and all of that kind of thing, and we were talking about Bannerlords. I'm over in the right section this time. Stelis is going to be massive. I think he's going to be a sleeper pick with the poisoning and the debuff transfers and all of that. Stelis is going to be great. Now, he is a fantastic nuker in arena or anywhere really. 2 hits on the A2 with stun. He has a self buff even, and decreased defense, or sorry, decreased crit damage and decreased speed. Don't think the boss will be susceptible to them. He'll be susceptible to crit damage, alright. Now, this is what we want him for. Whenever an enemy attempts to place a weakened, decreased defense or poison on this champion, reflects them back onto the attacker, and damage increases by 5% for each debuff on the target. So that's fantastic. That means that we can get up to 50% damage increase, but also he's not going to be susceptible to any of the debuffs that the boss is throwing our way, as long as we keep it to weaken, decrease defense, weaken, and poisons. Stelis is not going to have anything on him that he can't get rid of. No, actually, I tell a lie, because on the A1 there's hex and heal reduction, but our other cleansers can do this. He's going to reflect these debuffs back onto the boss though, which is going to be a big thing for us. So I think Stelis is going to be huge, and you're going to be seeing a couple of champions on the list that are giving the boss back some of his own, because I think it's going to be really big to be able to do that passively. Now, the next one is a champion that I got, I think my most recent champion? No. If you've seen my shard pull video earlier on, then it's not my most recent champion. However, this is a very, very recent champion in that I got him this week. Available to everybody, kinda. But it is Carnage the Anarch. Some people may never get him. Some people, you know, it may as well be the man on the moon. Carnage is fantastic for, in his form 2, a ton of damage and healing on himself, ignoring unkillable ally protection, all that kind of thing. Doesn't really do anything other than pure damage for bosses on his second form, but he can do that very well. Now, the thing that we want him for on this is, like Roshcard the Tower, he will be able to, on his A3 in his form 1, place block active skills. So it'll be second hit places block active skills debuff for 2 turns, and this debuff cannot be removed. So that means when the boss, well, he wouldn't actually be able to, once we landed on the boss wouldn't be able to remove that by using his A3 anyway, so it's a bit moot, but it is a very good skill. The other thing is, when he's booked up, he will ignore 30% of the boss's resistance requirement. So that'll be massive. Like, ignore resistance is huge in the game. Like we all talk about ignore defense, but ignore resistance is massive for getting those stat requirements and all that down. Now, you want to build Carnage with accuracy anyway, because he scales off accuracy. He's the only champion in the game that does, I think. So that will be huge as a damage dealer and a lockout for the boss. He's going to be very, very good. So I'd advise everybody to make their way towards getting to him, because he is massive. I know it's not doable for everybody, guys, but it's something to aim for, isn't it? We all want to have goals and stuff like that. In the game, in real life, it's better to prioritize real life goals. So, Cardial is my next pick. Cardial's a legend. A little bit forgotten about at the moment, or not, maybe not forgotten about, but not talked about. He's still so good though. Healing on the A1, can join in on attacks on the A1, so 7.5% max HP heal on everybody, and he'll randomly use it whenever anybody else attacks because of his passive here as well. Then on the A3, ally attack, and also buffs all of your team with increased crit rate and crit damage. And then the real reason I'd like him for this is he removes all debuffs from all allies, then places a block debuffs buff and a revive on death on everybody for 2 turns, and the revive on death cannot be removed as well. So that's huge, because when we look at the boss's skills, he has a mechanic where he denies revive. He also has a mechanic called Deadly Contagion, and that places necrosis stacks, so the boss has necrosis stacks, but the only way to get rid of them is by reviving dead allies. So having a revive on death that can't be removed on your team, protected revive on death, that's going to be massive to get the kind of passive reviving going on, so that your actual revivers then can do more as well. So he's going to be a great healer, cleanser, reviver in Cardial there. Can't say enough about him. He is a fantastic champion and just doesn't get the love as much anymore. Familiarity probably, you know. Speaking of the reviving and soaking up those necrosis stacks, we have a free champion that most people should have. And I think even if you're starting new right now, I think you can get him. So we're talking about a Wukong. Where is he? Wukong is super. C'est super. Wukong, we're going to be using him for damage. He's going to be able to deal big damage on his A1, massive damage on his A2. And then A3, he's going to be able to strip any buffs that's on the boss and place block buffs on him as well. So that's all going to be really, really huge. But as well, speaking of them block revives and the necrosis stacks that the boss has, a good way to be able to deal with all of them and get rid of them is Sun Wukong. Every 3 turns, he's going to try and revive himself with 100% HP and turn meter. Even if the boss denies his revive on the first turn, or first attempt, rather. I don't have the cooldown of that. Now, this is based off the stuff that we've seen. Oh, it's on a 5-turn cooldown. So, he'll be able to get back, regardless. He'll be able to get back, no problem. And he'll absorb the necrosis stacks, reducing that necrosis down. Don't know what necrosis does just yet, but it'll be a bad thing. So having him on your team is an easy way to get rid of some of them as well. So that's Wukong, Sun Wukong, the mythical monkey. Now, speaking of reviving and bringing us home, we have a couple of revivers and then my number 1 pick. So we're going over into the Lizardmen, the other anthropomorphic personifications of animals. We have Pyon. Pyon is huge as well. Again, cleansing, healing, block debuffs rather. Passive that's going to keep you alive for the more buffs that you have on you. An AoE revive with 50% HP and 50% turn meter, and strengthen and healing on the A1 as well. Pythion's going to be huge for this, and definitely not to be overlooked. Pythion's very one-dimensional, but the thing about one-dimensional is it's focused. So maybe a better way of saying it would be that he is a specialist rather than one-dimensional, you know. So sticking with that, A champion that gets overlooked a lot, but I love, is Raaka Viletide. So Raaka brings a lot of the same things, but she gets overlooked because Duchess and Siphi and all of that exist. However, she does bring things that each of them don't. She heals on the A1. She has a cleanse, increase attack and shield on her A2, AoE cleanse. A3 revive and block debuffs, and she can place the block debuffs regardless of the revive. And then a passive which will fill the turn meter of all allies every 3 turns by 10%. So she has the same turn meter boost as Siphi, on a shorter cooldown, I believe. That I wish that was buffed, or I wish it was every turn, to be honest. But that's for a different video. At the start of each turn as well, then she places a continuous heal buff on the ally with the lowest HP for 2 turns. She can't place it on herself. So really, really good, and that's on a 2-turn cooldown, the turn meter boost when it's booked. So she is massive as well with the cleansing, block debuffs, and shield, and basically reviving and keeping everybody alive. She's going to be massive as well. I love her. I love her for a lot of content, especially where Amius, I think, is where I use her most at the moment. She's really, really cool. Now, coming into our final champion, then we have, our final of our top 10. We have, where is he? We're back to the Sacred Order again. So obviously the Sacred Order have it out for this boss, but Siegfried the Nephilim. So we're sticking with revivers and stuff like that. He can deal massive damage. Now, I don't have this champion, but he is somebody that can, he's somebody that can dish out a huge amount of damage, someone who can take a hit or two or staying alive, and someone who can revive and protect your entire team. He is someone that I don't have, but God, do I want him. So his passive's insane. His damage is insane. He transfers debuffs from himself to the boss. That's going to be huge. This move, Seraphic Wave, not going to be too relevant, but good damage dealer and boosts his own turn meter to get round to his next move. And then this ignores 50% of the damage, or 50% of defense rather, when attacking, and probably the rest of it's not going to be there, useful, but he's doing a hell of a lot of damage. He's transferring debuffs. Then the passive keeps him alive with block damage if it's a fatal hit, and then heals this champion by 50% of their max HP and fills their turn meter by 100%. So that's going to be huge as well. Then, if that wasn't enough, if your team are getting wiped out, he's going to place the block damage on himself, and he's going to flip into his form 2, and he's going to revive everybody and place block damage on them for 2 turns to allow you to get back into the fight. He's also then going to take a bit of a Cardial business on, remove all debuffs from all allies, heal all allies by 30% of their max HP, and place a block debuff buff on them for 2 turns, and then attack all enemies and heal all allies by 20% of the damage inflicted. So he's basically Cardial on steroids in form 2 once your team are getting wiped out. So he's going to be really, really good for the boss, especially he just has all of the things you want: debuff transfer, cleanse, block damage, staying alive, revive, and just his own damage as well as then healing too. Like, he has everything covered. He's savage. So that's my number 1, guys. However, I did say I had a couple of honorable mentions. So really quickly, let's go and have a look at Raglin. We have Raglin from the Bannerlords. Turn meter boost, AoE cleanse and heal. She still needs to get this changed to based on HP or something. And then a 2-turn revive with a 75% HP and a full turn meter. So a single target revive on a 2-turn cooldown, she'll keep everybody in the game. She's really good. She just needs a minor tweak and she'll be just one of the best. Healer could be huge. Again, transferring all the debuffs back onto the boss. And like he'll cleanse your entire team, then throw all of that onto the boss, and he will use his resistance to do it instead of his accuracy. So you can ignore accuracy, build him with high resistance. He's like an inverted Metrala. You can ignore accuracy, use his resistance, and he'll use that to put all the debuffs onto the boss as well. Then he has a bit of healing and damaging on the A1 and a bit of shielding on the A2. And he also has some damage absorption to keep your team alive as well. So a bit of a niche pick, bit of a cheeky pick, but somebody that could see some use. Talking about reflecting stuff again, we have a champion that definitely you can't overlook, and I know a lot of people will love to hate her or hate to love her, or a bit of both probably, but Yumeko. Look, we all know she's probably like one of the best champions in the game. She's one of the best champions in the game. That's it. Like, she can reset your team. But this here, if she has the hex on the enemy boss, so on the Viper form boss, whenever he tries to debuff her, it's going to reflect back onto the boss. That's it. So that's going to be amazing for the boss to be able to do that and then reset your team as well. Could be really, really good, and yeah, definitely not to be overlooked. Then we do have somebody that I don't have yet. We have Romanu Drake's Blood. So everybody is eventually able to get Romanu. I'm on the arena missions. I'm on the very last thing for him, but it'll be a while before I have him as well, so I understand the struggle, guys. So yeah, we have block active skills on the A3 as well, and that's on a 3-turn cooldown as well, so that will be really, really vital for this boss, as well as the other stuff that he brings here. He has a heap of debuffs, and he has just a bit of damage on the A1. So yeah, he's going to be massive. There's only very few block active skills champions in the game. I think he was the only one for a long time. So that's going to be huge. So work your way towards him as well. It's mad, I think, that I have Carnage before I have him, but I kind of probably slacked on the arena a bit. It's just after midnight here, so it's ticked over into a new day. Then finally, this is a bit of a mad pick, but I have to shout out my old clan leader, who has stepped away from the game. But Jingwon, where is he? Where is Jingwon? Ah, there we are. So he's Void Shadowkin, and the reason for picking him: transfers all debuffs from this champion to the target. I told you we'd see a lot of that in this, okay? So that's cool. Attacks all enemies, has a 75% chance of increasing the duration of all debuffs on all enemies by 1 turn. Places blocked active skills and block debuffs for 2 turns. Block active skills again. So that's huge too. Then on the A3, the first hit has an 80% chance of removing all buffs from all enemies, so it's going to strip them, then place decrease accuracy, decrease crit damage, and place a strengthen on the entire team. Then, and then this is the stuff that is going to work for us. He's immune to fear, true fear, freeze, provoke, sleep, stun, and petrification debuffs, so he can't be CC'd, and at the end of each enemy or ally turn, removes all fear, true fear, freeze, provoke, sleep, stun, and petrification debuffs from all allies, and places a block debuffs buff for 1 turn on allies who have had their debuffs removed. So that was a bit of a slug, but yeah, he's going to be really good for the boss for the debuffs and all that kind of thing. He's going to be very debuff heavy, the boss, by the looks of things, at least in that form. We don't know the full composition yet, guys, so this is just a bit of my theory crafting, which is my favourite part of the game. I love looking at niche or unusual champions or whatever. Yeah, that's my favourite part of these type of games, is the theory crafting and the what-ifing and the like, you know, what if I'd done this, and what about this champion, and oh, this champion's crap, but maybe I could use him like this. And that's my favourite thing. That's what makes me enthusiastic about this kind of stuff, and I've kind of forgotten about that sometimes. So let me know what you think in the comments below. Let me know if you think there's any niche picks. Let me know if I'm off my rocker or whatever, or just say hello. Okay, guys, listen, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed that video and that bit of theory crafting, and I will see you in the next one. I've been Dotty Raids. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.